Lockheed F-117 Nighthawk is the first stealth aircraft that went into operational service. Its iconic but unorthodox design had a purpose to deflect away as many radar waves as possible, therefore the aircraft is considered low observable. Nighthawk had a successful combat career, most famously in Operation Desert Storm, where it attacked targets in Baghdad directly above its air defenses, avoiding the bullet storm coming directly from Iraqi anti-air artillery. However, Desert Storm wasn't its combat debut. By then, Nighthawk has already been deployed before, just in a completely different location. Operation Just Cause was the code name for the American invasion of Panama, which started on 20th of December 1989. The war had its roots in late 80s, when the relations between United States and Panama, led by Manuel Noriega, deteriorated to a critical point. Manuel Noriega was an intelligence officer under Omar Torrijos' regime and took over Panama Defense Force after Torrijos' death in 1983. Noriega did have ties in US intelligence community and had clients with the Medellin drug cartel in Colombia. He was warned beforehand by his own colleagues in the US intelligence community about the ever-rising US concern over his monopoly of power and involvement in the drug trade. The first public clash between United States and Noriega happened in June 1987, when the former Chief of Staff in Panama Defense Force, Roberto Diaz Herrera, accused Noriega of the following: complicity in the death of Torrijos, electoral fraud, and the murder of Hugo Spadafora, who was the leader of the Noriega's political opposition. Soon after, domestic anti-Noriega demonstrations ensued and he sent out riot police to suppress them. Due to his actions, the US Senate passed a resolution demanding Noriega to step down from his position. In response, a pro-Noriega mob attacked the US embassy. US State Department accused the Panamanian government to be involved in the event and began cutting off economic and military aid to Panama. The relations between US and Panama kept getting worse as Noriega supported a harassment campaign against US citizens and kept hindering the implementation of United States rights under the 1977 Panama Treaties. Between 1988 and 1989, Noriega turned to Cuba, Nicaragua, and Libya for economic and military assistance. Cuba and Nicaragua supplied Panama with Warsaw Pact weaponry, whereas Libya contributed $20 million to Panama so that they could use the country as the base for their international terrorist activities throughout Latin America. By then, United States saw a potential threat from Panama, since Panama Defense Force could perform sabotage missions against key US installations like Howard Air Force Base and Albrook Air Force Base. They began planning on what to do with Noriega. There were multiple events that further worsened the situation, such as Moises Giroldi's attempted coup in October 1989 and the hoax of a bomb threat, but the final fallen domino for the chain of events that led to Operation Just Cause were provocative declarations by the Panamanian leadership. On 15th of December 1989, Panamanian National Assembly passed a resolution which stated that the state of war existed between Panama and the United States, with the state reason being so-called US aggression. On the very same day, Manuel Noriega named himself as the maximum leader and issued public threats regarding disposing his opposition, while also declaring the intent to win the complete control over the waterway, or Panama Canal in other words. The situation in Panama, especially regarding the US-Panamanian relations, drastically worsened. On the evening of the next day, guards from Panama Defense Force attacked a car with 4 US officers in it. 3 officers were wounded and one of them, First Lieutenant Robert Paz, died in the Gorgas Military Hospital after being wounded. 2 witnesses, a US couple, were also taken for interrogation. United States was quick to find out about these incidents and organized military meetings to discuss what should be done with the situation in Panama. Initially, there were reservations about going to war, because of a possibility that those incidents could have been accidental, but upon further inspection, they were coming to a conclusion that attacks on US personnel in Panama were not in vacuum, but rather connected to Noriega's anti-US rhetoric. That was a key factor in those discussions, which eventually led to the invasion. Initially, there were some complications regarding political objectives, but answers were provided soon enough. To safeguard the lives of around 30,000 US citizens in Panama, to protect the integrity of Panama Canal and US military sites, to help establish a legitimate democracy in Panama, to neutralize Panama Defense Force, and finally to remove Noriega from the position of power. President of the United States George H.W. Bush was cautious regarding military operations in Panama. He wanted to make sure there wouldn't be any failures, with him having Operation Eagle Claw in his mind. He also wanted to avoid inter-service problems that were present in Operation Urgent Fury, also known as US invasion of Grenada. Colin Powell presented an argument that even if US intelligence would be able to locate Noriega, an operation to capture him would be enough to solve the situation in Panama, since the whole Panama Defense Force leadership was corrupt, and Noriega could have been easily replaced by another similar person. Therefore, in order for the US intervention to succeed, it was required that Panama Defense Force was neutralized. Powell also argued that a massive intervention would minimize the time for Panama Defense Force to hold US citizens as hostages. George H.W. Bush did need further persuasion, and he gave out an order with the following words: "Okay, let's do it. The hell with it." Soon enough, they began planning the invasion of Panama. One of the aircraft chosen for the operation was F-117 Nighthawk. Initially, the reception to such decision was rather mixed. Secretary Dick Cheney repeatedly questioned the usage of F-117, especially against a country that didn't seem to have any serious air defense capabilities. Chairman and General Thomas W. Kelly argued that it wasn't stealth from F-117 that they needed, but rather as a platform for precision strikes. Its targeting system, along with its capacity to carry laser-guided bombs, could be used in the mission to effectively and efficiently accomplish their desired military objectives, one of which was to stun troops of Panama Defense Force at Rio Hato. The plan to stun Panama Defense Force was also seen as a quick way to force their capitulation. Killing them, on the other hand, was seen as something that would make Panama Defense Force stiffen their resistance, which was not seen as optimal by United States. Further planned targets were La Escondida and Boquete, where F-117s were expected to support the assault of airborne troops. The plan to perform strikes at Rio Hato, La Escondida and Boquete were reviewed. Both Colin Powell and Dick Cheney approved the strike on Rio Hato with F-117s, but were against using the aforementioned stealth attack aircraft against La Escondida and Boquete, since they saw using special forces there as the better option. Just before the start of the operation, specifically on 19th of December 1989, President Bush approved the employment of F-117 Nighthawks for strikes at Rio Hato. His statement regarding the decision was following: "They're American troops, give them what they need." However, due to security breaches, Panama Defense Force became aware of the incoming attack just 3 hours before the invasion started. On the night of 19th of December 1986, 6 F-117s took off from Tonopah and accompanied 2 KC-10A extender tankers. Their initial destination was Brownsville, Texas. Later on, they took off from Brownsville and flew all across Caribbean, with the intended destination being Panama. The flight time from Tonopah to Panama was around 6.5 to 7 hours. Around 5 to 7 instances of aerial refueling were required for the mission. The whole mission was supposed to be top secret at the time, so secret that according to Greg Feast, who was a pilot involved in the operation, they couldn't even tell their squadron commander about it. In the strike package, 2 F-117s were assigned with a strike in the near proximity of Rio Hato Army Base, and 2 others were tasked to score hits on Noriega's residences at the Rio Hato Beach House and La Escondida Mountain Resort. However, planned attacks on Noriega's residences were cancelled, because intelligence reports indicated that their intended target was absent from either locations. It should be clarified that the intended targets for F-117s were, indeed, empty fields. This was all according to the plan, to stun the Panama Defense Force but not to kill them with airstrikes. Upon reaching the target area, F-117 pilots encountered high winds, which complicated their mission, but they proceeded with it nonetheless. The first strikes commenced, with one F-117 dropping two 2,000-pound GBU-27 laser-guided bombs on an open field, which was in a near proximity of the barracks, which housed two companies of troops belonging to Battalion 2000. This was an elite unit of Panama Defense Forces, which was fiercely loyal to Noriega. The effect of the bombings varies per source, with some claiming that they were successful in causing disorientation and panic among troops of Panama Defense Force, but with others claiming that they weren't as effective as planned, since 4 Rangers were killed in the operation at Rio Hato and several more were wounded. However, F-117s did accomplish the intended mission, striking empty fields. Later on, F-117s returned to Tonopah. This is, as far as we know, the only sorted F-117s that participated in Operation Just Cause. All things considered, a very brief episode in the F-117's operational service. However, what was to come soon after placed it in the Hall of Fame of Aviation.
I've told the American people before that this will not be another Vietnam. And I repeat this here tonight. Our troops will have the best possible support in the entire world, and they will not be asked to fight with one hand tied behind their back.